Perfect. Okay, I guess we can slowly get started then. Good morning, if you are here in the same time zone as us, or good afternoon, or wherever you are. This is the office hours call for ILGO, May 2025. My name is Alexander. With me, I have Maria, Jonas, and Freddie. And yeah, I'll just go through some of the latest things we've done in ILGO in this month, and then a few announcements, and then we'll get to the Q&A. That's basically what this lasted as well. So, what's new in ILGO for GitHub? If you're ever in doubt, you can always go to akms/ILGO release notes, and you can find the latest things. If you go there right now, you'll find these three things. I'll go through each of them briefly individually, but you can always go to the release notes and read more and figure out how to enable these things in your repos. So starting off with input validation, I mean, of course, we've always had validation of inputs into workflows, but we've enhanced that in the latest preview. So now what we saw was that when you ran the create release workflow, if you set the update version number parameter to something that ILGO doesn't accept, then it would do a bunch of things and then it would fail at the end. And that's obviously not ideal. So we enhanced this experience a bit to make it fail earlier, so you don't end up with some release that you can't really use for anything. And the same thing has been done for increment version number, and it's something we'll slowly improve on over time. So basically, in the future, you'll expect your ILGO workflows to fail early if there are any issues with the inputs that you give the workflows. But for now, it's only the create release and increment version number workflows. The second thing we rolled out, this is something you'll see when you run update ILGO system files. If you're on preview, you might already see it. Otherwise, you'll have to wait for the 7.2, I believe is the next version. But at the top of your ILGO file, you get this schema property. And the schema property will do two things for you. First of all, when you go into your ILGO settings file, you'll now get like these suggestions from VS Code, as you can see. And you can start typing and it'll filter, and you can get a description of the different settings and a link to where you can go read more. So this kind of enhances your experience, editing ILGO settings. Another place we're going to use this is within the workflows. We'll also validate whether your settings match the schema. This is really just to ensure that you've set up your settings correctly, and your settings are applied in the way that ILGO expects it to be, right? That it's living up to the syntax of ILGO settings. So we'll validate your settings against the schema, and if it doesn't match, we'll show a warning. And finally, we rolled out a feature for failing pull requests or new warnings. This was a feedback we got from some partners that they want to fail pull requests whenever a pull request is introducing a new warning. Oh, I'm getting someone saying my screen's not visible. You see the PowerPoint? Oh. Okay. Yes, so this new feature, failing pull requests and new warnings, it won't change the behavior of your CI/CD workflows. That'll still fail on the same errors as it used to, but now when you open up a pull request, and if your pull request introduces a new code cub warning, it'll fail, and you'll be forced to fix that before you merge your PR. So those were the three things we've added to ILGO in the last month. Right now it's in preview. I don't know if we have any. We'll ship 7.2 soon. We'll just need to have it for a little while, and then when we feel ready, we'll ship to 7.2. Before we go to the Q&A, just a couple of announcements. This one is a copy from last month, but just in case some of you haven't run into this yet, BC Container Helper versions earlier than set 6.1 basically don't really work anymore. ILGO repositories are not affected, but of course, if you're used to spinning up local containers and stuff, you will be affected. So if you haven't done that in a while, maybe check that yeah, you're running a container helper version higher than 6.1. One other announcement is please make sure you regularly update your update ALGO system files because some of the earlier versions of ALGO will soon stop working, 5.0 and lower. No, sorry, 5.0 will work. Lower than 5.0 will not work. For reference, 5.0 is about a year old now. So if you haven't run updated ALGO system files in a year, please make sure you run it relatively soon. And with that, I will kick off the Q&A, and Freddie also just joined me in the office now. Please use the Q&A tab instead of the chat tab. If you have any questions. You want to say anything, Freddie? But actually, maybe before we get to the Q&A, we can.
I can say one. I can talk to just came into the door. So yeah, you probably heard about, or maybe you saw my LinkedIn post that I am no longer with Microsoft, or I'm still here, at least for some time being. But I'm like no longer part of this team. What I've promised Alexander, Maria, Sebastian, and Jonas to do is to be here for the foreseeable future and make sure that the transition period is not like, I'm not trying to like go through everything in two days or 2 weeks to like, but we'll like extend that period for some time. So there'll be a good chance of the transition period to be smooth, and I don't foresee any huge. I mean, obviously there's going to be a huge missing me, but I think the team is more than capable of taking over and making sure that ALGO will have a bright future, and I'll do my utmost to make sure that the transition period is as smooth as possible. So it wasn't my decision. It wasn't the people in Lyngby's decision. I think my name was picked out from a computer somewhere in Redmond, and then it was my turn to leave. So that's how it feels, and that's how I chose to interpret it, which is the reason why. I mean, we're still all good friends and no bad feelings. So who'll take over from Freddie? Well, there's a team. Like you've seen, Alexander, Maria, Jonas, and Sebastian are the 4 people working on ALGO for GitHub. Container helper is probably going to be mostly Sebastian, as I can it's Alexander, as I can see on the different pull requests and stuff like that. But yeah,
it won't be left. I mean, well, we've been working with Freddie for the last 2 years or something.
Yeah.
So I mean, we have some experience now, but of course, not anywhere near what Freddie has. But we'll pick it up from there. Of course, it'll be a learning process for us as well. Okay, so there's a question here about the failed pull request and new warnings. Can it be switched on or off with a setting? And yes, it can. I didn't mention that, but if you go to ALGO release notes, you'll see the setting and a description of how to enable it. First question we got was, our development relies heavily on on-prem Docker containers. Now BC Container Helper is deprecated. What will be the future of on-prem container building? How can we prepare to be ready? Yes, I mean, so BC Container Helper is not deprecated yet. It's deprecated in about 2 years' time, I believe, is scheduled. And it is being replaced by a new module. So I don't think our plan is to leave you just, by yourself. We are planning to replace some of the functionality, maybe not all of it, but certainly, I mean, the core development functionalities we're planning on to replace.
Yeah, I think the plan was always to say the stuff that's used for running local containers will be in a different module. All the stuff that's used for running DevOps stuff is no longer going to be in a PowerShell module like that. It's going to be in various modules where the release vehicle is AL Go. And if people want to use those things, there'll be experiences more changes, because when the release vehicle is AL Go, we'll do the changes that are necessary for AL Go, but not look whether you're breaking anybody there. So I think that's still the plan.
Lots of questions. Just want to say thanks, Freddie. You did an awesome job for the pipeline store and the whole BC ecosystem. You will be missed. Definitely.
Thank you.
Can you give us an estimate in the famous PR for indirect templates?
Hoping to do it this month, or then this month, yeah, May, June. So let's see. I think the PR is done. It's more up to the people having time to actually do review and stuff like that. So
Yeah, it's in review, and we just need to get it in as soon as possible. So no AL Go will be supported for years to come. I mean, it will be supported in the years to come. I didn't mention this, but there's also, if you go to Yammer, there's a Microsoft announcement from Dimitri, one of the PMs here, about the future of AL Go and stuff, and it is something we're continuing to invest in. I need to build artifacts and releases for older BC version. Is there some documentation for this case? To build.
you build an app for older BC versions. You probably have to create a container for that version and then, yeah, build it with that. You can, if you want to build it in the pipeline, you need to use the functions for that. If you want to build it in VS Code, you can download probably the VS Code extension from the container that you built with the old artifacts, and you can install that in your VS Code and build with that. It's cumbersome. It's not something we recommend everybody to be on the latest and greatest always, right? But it can be done. Documentation, probably not something. Might find stuff on my blog, very old posts on how to do some of these things, but yeah.
Would you please know when the page scripting feature in SAS is expected to be released? I don't know. Maybe isn't it already released, or maybe I have the wrong understanding.
We're not running. We are unable to run page scripting tests on SAS environments due to the 2FA or MFA requirement of SAS currently, but it is being worked on. So that's going to be, it's Sebastian that's working on that piece. Well, it's going to be next month or months after that. I don't know, but as soon as possible.
It's gone into some section mode here. Section, but we need a second.
I think the sharing has stopped.
Yeah, it's just it was sharing my screen over and over again, but trying to find a pop out. Maybe not. We're still here, even though the screen is going a bit on some chats.
Jose Joaquin Madrigal Coquet asks, so my name is not Frederick, I'm Freddy, but yes, I'll be in Madrid September. So I promised Roberto Corella something, and I'll obviously keep my promises. I'm a man of my word. So yes, I'll be there.
Yeah.
Not next September, this September. So I promised one of our MVPs that had run a ALGO onboarding course if he could find 20 partners in Spain to do that. I'll do it a full day course, and he found 20 partners, and I obviously will, do that.
Deal's a deal. Thanks for all the hard work, late nights, and friendship over the last years. I've learned a lot from you.
Thank you, Ryan.
I receive an error on the publish artifacts pipeline step. Failed to create artifact. Artifact storage quota has been hit. Unable to upload any new artifacts. Usage is recalculated every 6 to 12 hours. Can the publish artifact step be turned off in this case? No, I don't believe it can. Okay.
So what SKU are you running on GitHub? Is that a free account, or is it the pro, or what, Christian? I don't think we can.
We had some settings for retention, right?
Yeah.
There are some long-lasting and short-lasting artifacts. Do we have some settings to define how long to keep the artifacts for? Team.
I think you should create an issue on that, and then you should investigate how much quota there is. I thought that would be bigger. And also, like, give some advice in, is this like very large apps, or is it, you can mention stuff like that. Or is it like a lot of builds? So what's causing this?
Yes. I have another question regarding the feature failed focus and new warnings. Is there a threshold value where I can configure something like below X warnings, I'm fine, but only stop if it's more than X warnings? Hello, Jonas, do you want to respond to this one?
Yeah, so no, we don't have any of those settings at the moment. This feature essentially looks at new warnings only. So if you have a code base that already has a bunch of warnings and you want to block new warnings from getting in without having to fix all of the current warnings, this is the type of feature you want to enable. Other than that, there are other ways to control breaking and failing on warnings, but not threshold that is configurable in terms of the number of warnings, etc.
I'm new to ALGO. I need to start from basic. Any links you can share? I believe some links were shared. Hopefully that's helpful. Can I join that? Guessing maybe it's the Madrid thing that's being mentioned here, or?
So Ryan, I'm going to hold the entire course in Spanish, so I'm capable of. Oh no, I'm not. It's in English. You have to talk to Roberto Corella, one of our MVPs in Spain. He's the host. I'm just a guest speaker.
What is the recommended approach for using Azure DevOps work item planning together with ALGO? I don't think we have anything documented on this, but it is something we do within Microsoft. So we have a couple of ALGO GitHub repositories, but all of our work item management is in Azure DevOps. And I mean, it's not a painless experience, but there are some kind of integrations that you can use. The Azure Boards integration being one of them. So you can reference work items from GitHub and it automatically creates a link between the two and so on. That's something that kind of eases the experience. Maybe that's something we should document at some point. I feel like I've heard this before. I've gotten this question before around how do you integrate Azure DevOps and GitHub. Yeah, that's the tool we use, and then we build some of our own automation to, do some other syncing. But that might not be necessary for your use case. We're currently facing difficulties comparing two different BCE versions in ALGO, 26 and 25. Manually checking each AL file is proving to be quite challenging.
BCE.
Maybe you could try rephrasing the question or something, and then we can come back to this one.
What do you mean about BCE versions? There are two different branches where development has gone in two directions, or what are you talking about there?
We'll see if we can come back to this one. We're currently in the process of evaluating whether we want to switch from Azure DevOps to GitHub with ALGO. What is the general recommendation here? Is ADO the future or GitHub?
I don't think we at Microsoft. I don't think Microsoft does any recommendation on ADO or GitHub. I think both are supported. If you look at the teams, I don't think there's any doubt that GitHub receives the most love and attention from development teams. A lot of features comes to GitHub, not so much in Azure DevOps. But Azure DevOps has like an advantage of some areas where they have more feature-rich functionality already, and GitHub is catching up on that. So it kind of depends on where if you have a lot of investments on ADO and you need to stay there. Our recommendation is to use a managed solution so you don't get stuck in this, okay, now container helper is no longer supported, and you have to like figure out where you get the functionality in that one from. And you can stay on ADO if you use Allops or Alpaca, but our recommendation will be GitHub. Or Microsoft's recommendation will be GitHub, sorry about
Where to go from? Also, I am not sure if this is the right platform to ask this question, but I'm also interested in like data-driven testing. But I'm not sure about the data templates to load the data. I need help here as well. I asked a query on Yammer, did not get any response yet.
I don't think ALGO has any support for any data-driven testing yet. I got the question on the last a meeting I had in, where was that? Was that Directions North America, I think it was? Yeah, where one of the MVPs talked about the new data-driven, the AI test toolkit that was able to do data-driven testing. We haven't built support for that into ALGO yet. So that's something that needs to be investigated and how we can do that in the best way.
Is there anything in the chat? Is there any such GitHub Copilot agent in VS Code for refining the code with the base code of BC with our custom extension for fixing the errors? Question, I don't know.
Yes, there is a Copilot code reviewer, but it's not very good at AL yet. But that would be something that should be worked on in order to make the Copilot code reviewer capable of doing actual code reviews and formatting and stuff like that. Maybe even stuff like pre-commit could be extended to be able to format AL code. I don't know. CodeCup can do some of these things, I guess. We have a guy outside here trying to hammer his way through the window, I guess, but hope it's not too noisy.
Is building runtime packages supported by ALGO? I think the answer to that is no, right?
Yeah, never got to that. It's part of the backlog.
Yes, can we submit an idea for code formatting and code review on pull request or by AI?
Even better, Ryan, you can create a pull request to add the functionality to ALGO.
Yeah.
How about that?
On the ALGO project board, there are some cards about auto translation. Is there any news on that? I don't believe so. No. In the backlog. Auto translation. Yeah, I was just gonna say, I feel like I remember having a discussion around translations at a roundtable at Directions. But I don't think we've really touched the whole translation story since then, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think the biggest feature that came out of that roundtable was the incremental builds feature.
23. That was in
That was that roundtable, and it was Lars who suggested it. So.
ah,
Or maybe it was 24.
24 was I was in what was it? Lyon? Yeah. I seem to remember having some translation discussion there. But no, sadly, not something we've had the time to work on. We still have another 25 minutes left for questions. Feel free to post them in the Q&A. You can also just, if you have a suggestion for a feature or a general comment or something, by all means, let us know. It's a good forum for us to get feedback as well, and like understand what areas of AOGO we're lacking and features you're missing and so on. Like translations, clearly.
You can ask people, so if they raise their hand, you can see how many people actually would missing features like that. So how many people would be like interested in translations built into pipelines and stuff like that? Is that 2, 3, 4?
That's a lot.
Okay. Seems like it.
This is maybe a good opportunity to also promote a little bit the discussions we have on GitHub, where we have ideas tab. So maybe someone can create this idea and people can upvote it. This is, I think now, I know we kind of like change the way we work a little bit, but the idea going forward is that we're going to use this place to, yeah, thank you, Alex, for sharing it. The ideas sections to kind of evaluate new features in our backlog.
Yes, and when you go in, also have a look if you see the idea already, and you can vote or upvote it. That also helps us understand how impactful it is. Yeah, if you go into discussions and click new under ideas, then it's a good place for us to get feature suggestions. I guess we got the answer to the translation one. It seems like there are quite a few people.
Yeah. So Ryan, the enterprise is organizational. The user, you can be a pro or free, and on the organization you can be either free, team, or enterprise. I think it's the 3 ones, and then you can have on top of that a GitHub Enterprise that owns several organizations where you can set up policies for that then like are applied to all the organizations in that enterprise. So there's different like layers in that, but organizational, that's where you have your subscription, and that's where you have the enterprise subscription, and it's licensed by user, by organization. That's probably what your question actually is. Now I read it.
In the AOGO workshop, there are still some documentations like development environments, the development process missing. Any idea when they will come? No, but it sounds like something we should add. Do we have empty pages that says coming soon, or?
Yeah, sorry about that. I wasn't aware that I wouldn't have time to do that. But yeah, we'll probably go through that when we have the time to figure out what we can do about those things.
Yes, the enterprise where there are several orgs under one enterprise, so it's safe to assume org BC, and org BC can use the same license, thereby having one top level policy.
I actually don't know on that one. So yeah, better ask Carl. Better ask GitHub on that, or
yeah, future time. We're currently seeing artifact URL that have been changing. Is this by design? Use case, we're using specific artifact URL with the same AOGO settings JSON, so we changed them. But why are they changing? The artifact URL is changing.
Is it versions disappearing glass, or is it like part of the host name that's changing?
Maybe while you type something there, I can also. So I've been working a little bit around these artifacts recently, and there are a couple of changes that are being rolled out right now. So one of the things is in the past you were able to connect to the storage accounts directly. Those URLs would be something like bcartifacts.blob.storage.net or something like that. And those will not work in the future. In the future, it'll be like bcartifacts / and then some characters and then dot. I actually forget what the URL is exactly, but it just means the traffic will go through a front door instead. And this is part of a security push within Microsoft. So this is something that's happening now, and the plan is at the end of June we'll stop, the ability to access the storage accounts directly, and so by that time, all traffic should be going through the front doors. So they have slightly different URLs. I don't know if that's maybe what you've noticed. Yeah, we can get back to this one. Otherwise, just to confirm, once BC Container Helper is deprecated, will Microsoft replace or modify the underlying tooling used in ALGO for GitHub workflows, or is ALGO already fully independent of BC Container Helper? It is definitely not. We have still have a bunch of work left to make ALGO independent of Container Helper. So I think that's kind of the first thing we'll look at to see what functionality ALGO needs from BC Container Helper and extract that, and then we'll also take a look at what else needs to be taken out of Container Helper before we're fully ready to deprecate it. So there will be modifications coming to ALGO.
I think it's safe to say that the modifications in ALGO will probably, you probably won't notice them. In a lot of cases, things will just happen and suddenly your DevOps pipelines and everything will be running independent of BC Container Helper. Whereas if people have written their own, they'll be like, they'll run into problems at some point in time when Container Helper no longer works. Yeah, so Lars, that change actually, there was several versions of that, because the Azure Edge.net is the old what's it called, front door CDN, content delivery network, that we were using, and we had to change that to front door instead, meaning that the other URLs were now in play. Typically BC Container Helper would translate the top one to the lower one and just automatically work. So if you had URL of the other one, it would still work. I would expect that still to be the case, but if not, the get BC artifact URL will always return the one that you can use and should use.
Check for translations would be truly awesome. Sounds like something we should work on.
and questions? Wow. Nearing the end.
Freddie has done an amazing effort with ALGO. With him leaving, how is the allocation of resources from Microsoft managed? Will the team work part-time on ALGO or is a full-time project? We as a partner are looking into investing in moving from ADO to ALGO, and we fear that the project will not get the same amount of love in the future. Any thoughts on this? I mean, so in the past 2 years, we've been 3 people working on ALGO, Freddie, me, Alexander, and Maria. Now we just got another person working on ALGO as well, Sebastian. And yeah, even though Freddie's leaving, we will be continuing to work on ALGO. Yeah, I don't know how much. I'm not really I can't a manager or anything. I can't really speak to how we allocate time within Microsoft, but I pretty confident we'll keep working on ALGO a significant amount. And again, there's if you go to Yammer under Microsoft announcements, there is a statement from Dimitri from Microsoft, basically also stating that we're not defunding our efforts into ALGO.
If I may chip in a little bit, I know Freddie's leaving had a lot of big shoes to fill, but we'll try our best to kind of match what he provided for the community. It's at some point Freddie mentioned like, don't worry for me leaving, worry for yourselves. But and now I actually started feeling this because Freddie does have a lot of connections, and maybe a lot of you like know him personally and have built like this connection over like years. And obviously we cannot match this right here, right now, but we'll try. I think we will see our faces more often on conferences, and we'll try to stay active as much as possible on GitHub, replying to your questions and trying to solve your issues, etc. It is a bit of a shock, but life's life.
Let me also add one sentence to that one. So I'm not dead, right? And I need to find a way to like make a living as well. So I'm not applying for a job at anywhere. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start my own business and figure out how I can manage life, work, and whatever experiences I want to have over the next time. And it might be that I'll be visible in the community and doing suggestions and doing stuff there. It might be other things. I have no idea yet. First of all, I'm going to have some time off and then figure out exactly how these things are going to play out afterwards. So maybe I'll still do work on ALGO just as a somebody from outside of Microsoft and hoping that they'll like accept my PRs or whatever. I don't know. Let's see. Obviously, I need to earn some money as well. I can't do everything for free like I've done before. But let's figure out what happens.
A lot of love for Freddie. Well deserved. Is there already a Microsoft manager who will take over the responsibility for ALGO? So ALGO will fall under, and has fallen under the engineering systems team, which is the team I work on, Maria work on, Jonas on the call is my manager. So I guess the answer here would be Jonas, who was on the call here. He is the Microsoft manager who will take over the responsibility of ALGO.
Yeah.
Not even take over, really. I mean, it's been under.
It's been under our team for a couple of years, but Fred has still been the one coming up with a lot of the stuff we've been doing. But now it lands on our team, engineering systems, fully.
Any more questions here at the end? Give it a few more minutes and then otherwise we'll see you next month, I guess. Is there office hours next month as well, I guess?
Yeah, I think July and December were the only month we decided to skip.
So it's either now or in a month, or on GitHub, of course. So you can always reach us in the discussion tab on ALGO. There's also a questions tab. So, if you run into questions along the way, you can also ask them there. So it's not like we'll be off the face of the earth for the next month. We'll be here, but not on this call. So if you have any more questions, you have a couple more minutes. Or any more love for Freddie, that's also welcomed.
I got a lot of love on LinkedIn when I posted the news. I mean, I didn't see that coming. Like, I think it's 5,500 likes, so 600 messages and still coming in. So it probably is. Okay, could we?
Yes, let's wrap up. Yeah, thank you very much for joining. We'll be here next month, and yeah. Till
See you.
then, see you.